Early in his public life, Jesus recruited 12 men whom he trained to continue his work when he had gone. One of them was a fisherman named Simon, whom he called Peter, and his brother Andrew. Now Peter was married and lived in a small one-room house with his wife and her mother and brother Andrew. Peter's mother-in-law became sick with a fever, and as she lay on her mat on the floor, helpless, many thoughts crossed her mind, disturbing thoughts. She was thinking about Peter and his new job and with this man Jesus. She remembered the day that Peter's parents came to her place with a proposal that their son marry her daughter. They said that he was in the family fishing business and earned a reasonable sum, enough to support a family. So we agreed and gave our daughter in marriage to their son Peter. Then she remembered losing her husband, moving in with them and becoming part of their household. And one day Peter suddenly tossed in his nets to follow this Jesus. Peter was always the impetuous type. He'd suddenly have an idea and he'd go for it. This was extreme. Why didn't he discuss it with the family? Even his wife. Suddenly her whole family was without income, or at least no obvious source of income. Admittedly, he still did bring home a few denarii and we hadn't gone hungry. Well, not yet. She was lying there on the floor, staring at her untidy house. What is this fever? Is this the end of me? We can't afford a doctor and they can't heal me anyway. And she recalled some scripture, how God had once punished his people for breaking his covenant with them, with a fever. Well, perhaps she was under a curse. Well, that wouldn't sit too well with Peter and his new job and with all his God talk and everything. She just wanted to get up and do something. But this burning fever raged on and left her helpless. And then she heard a sound outside. Someone was coming. Peter and Andrew and their friends John and, oh no, Jesus as well. Why does Peter have to bring guests home when he knows I'm in this state? No consideration. Well, this is no way to impress a new boss. House in a mess, me in a mess. She supposed that this Jesus would want to talk with Peter and his wife and to sort out the terms of their new arrangement. Well, that would leave her providing the hospitality, and she can't even move. Can't even offer him a drink of water. Shame. Well, Peter and Andrew come in full of talk. I've come from the synagogue where Jesus had taken complete charge in the whole situation. His fame was spreading. She was thinking of such an important person won't even notice her, an old grandma. Not so. Peter comes up to her to tell her that he invited Jesus to come home to meet her and to give her something. Jesus appears in the doorway, looks straight at her, walks to her mat, and leans down. He reaches for her hand, which she can't even raise by herself. She feels helpless and useless. But then Jesus spoke, but not to her. In a sharp word, he rebukes her fever, and something very strange moved inside her. The fever suddenly disappeared. Temperature returned to normal, sweating stopped, ache disappeared, and energy returned to her body. But more than just energy, life. And a brand new outlook came to her mind. Why am I lying on this mat in the middle of the day? Jesus gently raised her hand and helped her up. But not just the fever had left her, gone too are her dirty, rotten attitudes about Peter and about Jesus and about herself as well. She feels free. She's not sick anymore. The one who captivated so much of Peter's attention has come right into her little house to give her attention. She's meant to be the servant here, and Jesus the rising star of Galilee. So why is he giving me such personal attention? Yet he's come into my home to serve me, little old me. Come to think of it, aren't I meant to be providing the hospitality round here? I can do this. A new spring comes in her step and a joy in her heart, and she begins to wait on Jesus and, of course, Peter and Andrew, James, John, all of them. Jesus has somehow filled her with new strength and a new attitude and a higher purpose than she's ever experienced before. Begins to serve first Jesus and then the others. Doesn't seem to be a burden anymore, but a privilege to be on the team with Peter and his new calling. Well, they didn't stay long, but after they'd left, everything had changed. She had a lot more to ponder about. Jesus came into her little home just to serve her. And when he came over to her side, it seemed that she had his entire attention, and he wanted nothing from her, no agenda. He came to bring her something. He came to set her free, free from her crippling attitudes, free to play her role with purpose. In one way, nothing has changed, but in another way, everything's changed. She was back to her old self and her old role, but life had a purpose now, a new purpose. She was a loved person, not just a burden. She had within her a spring of life out of which she could serve others. She was on a team, Jesus' team, with Peter and Andrew and the others. Did the time that Jesus gave her slow his schedule down? No way. She was his schedule for those few moments. He stopped a while at her house. He allowed her the privilege of serving him. He took some rest. He wasn't in a hurry. He was with them. Then, when it came time to leave, he went out, and news about him went even further around the country of Galilee.